morning everyone. So today is my first lecture based on signal and system, which is a course running in second year of electronics and communication branch. So we are now in first lecture, we are covering to introduction to signal and system. And this course is a prerequisite for other courses in electronics and communication like communication engineering, analog communication, digital communication and so on. So what are the fundamentals of signal and system? So if we see about the signal, which is a word which signifies the function of one or more variables that convey information on the nature of a physical phenomena. So we have here examples like this, like voltage, current, or a simple xt signal which can be represented as a signal. So here we represent two types of signal. One is continuous time and another one is discrete time signal. For continuous time signal, we represent as T, that is for continuous signal, CT signal. And for discrete time signal, the representation is N. So this is for DT signal. So here what we are representing, x of t means the signal is a function of the time here, and we are representing continuous time signal which is a function of time. Similarly, we have another signals like heartbeat. We can measure the heartbeat in the form of the signal with respect to time, blood pressure, temperature, vibration, etc. So if we classify the signals, there are basically different classifications of signal. One category of classification is one-dimensional signal, which has a function depends on a single variable. Example, speech signal. So speech signal depends upon the time. So as we increase the time, the speech signal will also vary accordingly, and it's a random kind of signal. Similarly, there is multi-dimensional signal that the function depends on two or more variable or image, for example, image. So these kind of signals are called multi-dimensional signals. So what we have seen in the first slide, that the signals can be represented as a physical quantity which is a function of time. So it can be represented as x of t or x of n in the discrete domain. So in the continuous domain, we can represent it as x of t, and in the discrete domain, we can represent it as x of n. Now we can see what is system. So obviously there is a signal, we have to put that signal into a system and we want a response from that system. So for that purpose we require a system also. So system is basically an entity or operator that manipulates one or more signals to accomplish a function, thereby yielding new signals. So we can represent here system with a factor h, and we have a signal here x of t and output y of t, and we can represent system with an impulse response, that is h of t. So we can also write the output signal vt, yt is equivalent to t, that is a function, to x of t, or in the convolution domain we can write yt is equivalent to xt convolution ht, where xt is the input signal, this is the input signal, and ht is called as impulse response of the system. Impulse response of system. So in convolution domain or in time domain, we can represent the convolution of two signal, that is input signal, and the system impulse response as the output of the particular system. So yt can be represented as a convolution of xt convolution ht. So there are commonly encountered systems which are called as communication system. For example, automatic speaker recognition system, aircraft landing system. So these are some system in which we provide some input and we obtain some output. So next we will discuss here classifications of signals, how we can classify these signals. So as I discussed in the first slide, the major classification of the signal is on the basis of continuous time and discrete time. So in the first figure you can see that there is a signal which is represented for all the values of the time. So it is called as continuous time signal. That is it is represented as continuum of time of the signals. And in the second figure we are seeing that it is only for some instant of time it is represented. So these instant of time, so it is represented as discrete instant of time. So this is called as discrete instant of time. So this is basically the second signal is your discrete time signal, DT signal. So DT signal, xn can be represented at discrete interval of time, or we can say that it is only represented for integer values of the n, small n We take here integer values only. On the other hand, in the continuous time signal, we have all for all values of t. All values of t, xt can be represented. So this is the basic difference between a continuous time and discrete time signal. So next we will classify this as an example. For many cases, xn is obtained by sampling xt. We can sample xt with the formula that xn is equivalent to x of nt, where n is equivalent to 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, and so on. So if we have a continuous time signal, we can sample it with the number of samples we want at the output. So with the help of n value of the integer values 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, we can have a discrete time of sequence. So are there any requirements for the sampling? Yes, obviously there are some requirements for the sampling, and there is a criteria which is called as Nyquist criteria. So with the help of that criteria, we can obtain our sampled version of the signal. Now next we have even and odd signal. So this category of signal comprises of, if we have, suppose we have a signal xt like this, which is a rectangular pulse. Obviously, we can do x of minus t, which is the reversal of this signal. So if we draw x of minus t, so if we draw this signal x of minus t, we will see here that this portion basically now have this type of signal. So this portion is mirror image of this portion is about in this plane or in the negative side, and similarly this portion has a mirror image at the positive side. So we have the same signal which we are getting at the output, that is x of t is equivalent to x of minus t. We will see here that x of t is equivalent to x of minus t. Or we can have an example of sinusoidal signal, cos signal, this type of signal. Okay, if we see this type of signal cos t at the origin 0, we will have the same signal. If we draw cos of minus t, the same signal we can have, which is cos of minus t. So if x of minus t is equivalent to x of t, or in the discrete domain x of minus n is equivalent to x of n, in that case the signal is called as even signal. On the other hand, if x of minus t we will getting minus of xt, or x of minus n we will getting minus of xn, then these type of signals are called odd signal. For example, odd signal, this is of cos t, for example, and for odd signal we can represent it as sin t. Sin t is an example of an odd signal. So if we draw sine signal like this is sin t, and if we take sine of minus t, it will like this. So obviously the same signal is not here. Sine of minus t is equivalent to minus of sin t. This is sine of minus t. So if we draw minus of sin t, we will get the same signal this. So this kind of signal sin t is an odd signal. So any signal xt can be represented as a sum of these two, that is the even and the odd part of the signal, or we can say any signal is comprises of or the addition of two signals, that it must have some even part and it must have some odd part. So xt can be represented as xt is equivalent to x of even t plus x of odd t. Similarly, x of minus t can be represented as x of even t minus of x of odd t. So we can find out the even component from the signal itself and the odd component from the signal itself with the help of these formula, that if we want to find even component, x of et can be represented as half of xt plus x of minus t, and similarly if we want to find out odd component, we can find with the help of this formula, that is half of xt minus of x of minus t. So these are all about even and odd signals. Next category of signal is periodic and non-periodic signal. So continuous time signal is a periodic signal only when it repeats itself after a certain time of period, which is called as fundamental period. So for this, we represent here xt is equivalent to xt plus capital T, where capital T is the smallest fundamental period. So if xt is equivalent to xt plus capital T, then only the signal is called as periodic. Otherwise, it will be a non-periodic signal. Here, small capital T is the smallest fundamental period, which is represented as T naught here, or fundamental frequency is represented as F naught, which is equivalent to 1 upon T naught, or we can find out omega naught with the help of 2 pi T naught. So if we have this type of signal sine 2t, suppose xt is equivalent to sine 2t. So we can compare this signal with sine omega naught t, where omega naught is equivalent to 2, or we can write 2 pi f naught is equivalent to 2, then f naught is equivalent to 1 upon pi, or t naught is equivalent to pi. So we have the fundamental period for this signal is equivalent to pi. We can say here the pi is the fundamental period. Similarly, for discrete time signal, if we have xn is equivalent to xn plus n, then xn is periodic with some fundamental period, minimum fundamental period, which is represented here by capital N. And here we will find out the value of f and compare that value with k by n. And here the k is also an integer value and the capital N is also integer value. So we will see what is the value of n, and with the help of that n, we can say that this is the fundamental period or the minimum period for this discrete time sequence. For example, if xn is given as cos 2 pi n. So we have here omega naught, which is omega naught is equivalent to 2 pi, or 2 pi f naught is equivalent to 2 pi. So f naught is equivalent to 1, or we can compare this f naught with k by n. So here n is equivalent to 1. So this signal has a fundamental period of n is equivalent to 1. We can also find out the fundamental period of the sum of the signals by taking T1 by T2 is equivalent to ratio of the two signal, which is m by n, and with this T is equivalent to n into T1 or m into T2. We can use these formulas for having a combination of the sum of the two signals, which is going to be periodic, and we will find out the fundamental period. For this, the integer values, only in that case the signal is periodic signal. So a sample CT periodic signal may not be discrete time periodic signal. Any condition of two periodic CT signal resultant must be a periodic signal. So we can have this type of conclusion from this. So we can find out the sum of the two signals, which is periodic or not, or with the help of this formula, that is T1 by T2 is equivalent to m by n or n by m, T is equivalent to n T1 and m T2. We can easily find out what will be the fundamental period T naught here. So next we have deterministic and random signals. Deterministic signal which can be represented with the help of the equations. So those signals which can easily be expressed as a form of the equation are deterministic signal. There is no uncertainty with respect to its value at any time. Random signal, on the other hand, which are uncertain before it occurs. So these type of signals are chaotic signals, like thermal noise, which is a random kind of signal. Okay, weather forecasting, which is a random signal. Okay. Then energy and power signal. So this category of signal is very important. A continuous time signal can be an energy signal or can be a power signal, or it can be neither energy nor power signal. So how to find out whether the signal is energy signal or power signal, and also how we can calculate the value of the energy and power. So mostly the periodic signals or bounded signals are energy signals. Okay, so for this, those who are energy signal, or we can say that the signals which are energy signals have the finite energy. E is finite here, and power is basically limit T tends to infinite, 1 upon T multiplied by energy. So it will be always 0. On the other hand, power signals, basically those which are periodic in nature or unbounded, are power signals. So power is finite here and energy is infinite here. So this is finite, that is less than infinite, and this is infinite. Okay, so how can we calculate the energy and the power? With the help of these formula, energy can be calculated with of the signal, that is minus infinity to infinity mod of xt square dt. We can find out the value of the energy. Similarly, power can be found out with limit minus t tends to infinity 1 upon 2t minus t to t x mod of x square t dt. So with the help of this, we can find out the value of the energy and power. Suppose we have to find out the energy of signal xt is equivalent to a sine omega naught t. So how can we find out? We can find out with the help of this relation, minus this is 2t minus infinity to infinity, and this is a square sine square omega naught t and dt. Or limits we can change because it's a unit step signal, so the limits will be 0 to infinity a square sine square omega naught t dt. We can integrate here sine square once, that is 1 minus cos square omega naught t, and we will find out the value. We will get the value a square by 2. So by this way we can find out the value of energy of the signal. So those signals which have a particular energy are basically having finite energy, and the power is 0 here. So this for discrete time signal, these are the equation. Energy can be found out from minus infinity to infinity x square n. Similarly, power can be found out limit n tends to infinity 1 upon 2n plus 1 summation over n equivalent to minus n to n x square n. So for this, we easily see that energy signal is those signals which have a 0 to infinite, in between 0 to infinite energy, and similarly power signal are those which have a power range between 0 to infinite. So for this, power is 0, and for this, energy is infinite. Next, we have analog and digital signal. We can see from the figure itself, analog signal is a continuous time signal and digital signal is a discrete version of that signal. We can use the sampling theorem for discretize the analog signal, and that discrete values can be represented in the form of xn and n, and these are discrete time signal. Similarly, we have continuous time discrete value signal, and similarly we have continuous time discrete value signal. Continuous time discrete value signal examples are like this, and we can have digital type of signal which is represented in the right side. Last signal is a kind of a digital signal. So we can easily find out the difference between a continuous time and a digital signal. Digital signal is in the form of the pulses, in the form of zeros and ones only, and discrete signal is the sampled version of the analog signal. So next we have basic operations on signals. We have various operations on signals. That is, first one is the amplitude scaling. The second one is the addition, multiplication. So amplitude scaling is the scaling of the amplitude of a particular signal. So we have taken here yt is equivalent to c of xt or c of xn. So if c is greater than 1, then it will be a gain, or it will be an amplified version of the signal. If c is less than 1, then it will be attenuation, or the noise, having some noise, and it will be a lesser amplitude signal. So addition of the two signal is simply yt is equivalent to x1t plus x2t, or yn is equivalent to x1n plus x2n. It will be the simple addition of the amplitude of the two signals. Similarly, we have multiplication operation. It's the multiplication of the amplitude of the two signals at various intervals of time. For differentiation, we have yt is equivalent to d of xt upon dt. And for discrete time, there is no such case. For integration, similarly, yt is equivalent to minus infinity to t x tau d tau. In the discrete domain, there is no case. Again, we have time scaling. The time scaling property is yt is equivalent to x of at. So if a lies between 0 to 1, then there will be expansion of the signal. And if a lies greater than 1, then there will be compression of the signal. So similarly, we have for discrete thing, that is yn is equivalent to x of kn, where k is between 0 and 1, then it will be a expansion, and if k is greater than 1, then it will be a compression. Similarly, we have reflection, that is also called as time reversal property of the signal. Yt is equivalent to x of minus t. So we will reverse the signal at a origin or flip the signal about the y-axis. Similarly, yn is equivalent to x of minus n is the reversal of the in discrete domain. Next, we have time shifting property, that is yt is equivalent to x of t minus t naught. So, it is a delayed time of signal and the signal will shift right. And if t naught is less than 0, that is have some negative value, obviously then it becomes xt plus t naught, and in that case it will be a advanced signal and the signal will shift to the left with the amount t naught. Similarly, we have in the discrete domain x of n minus n naught yn, and for n greater than 0 it will shift to right side, and for n naught less than 0 it will shift to the left side. If we have a combination of the signal xt, that is x of at minus t naught, so firstly we will shift the signal with the amount t naught, then we will do the scaling, or if there is a reversal then we will follow shifting first, then scaling second, and then we have reversal. So below is the example for this, that there is a xt signal which is a direct form of signal from -1 to 1, and we have to plot xt plus 3. So we can easily find out, we have to plot this. So firstly we will plot xt plus 3 here, and then we will plot x2t plus 3. So firstly we will do shifting, and then we will do scaling. So shifting to the left and scaling 1 by 2 here. So shifting to the left from amount plus 3. So the -1 signal will exist now from -4 to -3, and then we will do the scaling procedure here. So it will be -2 and -1.5 here. So we have a signal that is a transformed signal x2t plus 3. This is x2t plus 3. So elementary signals are exponential signals. First is the exponential signal, which is b of e to the power at, where a is the a or b is real thing. So if a is less than 0, then the signal is decaying type of exponential signal. If a is greater than 0, then it will be a growing type of exponential signal. If a is equivalent to 0, then it will be a DC signal. Similarly, in discrete domain, xn can be represented as b of r to the power n. If r lies between 0 and 1, it will be a decaying type of. If r is greater than 1, it will be exponentially growing. And if r is equivalent to 1, it will be a DC signal. We have a sinusoidal kind of signal, which is continuous time or discrete time sinusoidal signal. So xt, we have a equation a cos omega naught t plus phi, where phi is the phase and omega is the angular frequency. Similarly, in discrete domain, xn can be represented as a cos omega n plus phi. Next, we have category of signal, which is unit step function. So we have a signal that is ut. Ut can be represented like this. For t greater than equivalent to 0, we can have an amplitude 1, and for t less than 0, it is 0. So for t greater than 0, it is 1. For t less than 0 is 0. At t is equivalent to 0, it has also a amplitude of 1, but it's a discontinuity here. That's why we represent sometimes as t greater than 0. For t greater than 0, it is only 1. For discrete time, we have a discrete sequence at n is equivalent to 0 also. That's why we represent u of n is equivalent to 1 for n greater than equivalent to 0, and 0 for n less than 0. For impulse function is a function which exists only at t is equivalent to 0. So del t, and it has a magnitude of 1. So del t is 1 only at t is equivalent to 0, and other than that it is always 0, and it has a property from -infinity to infinity del t dt, that is 1. So area under the curve to this impulse function is always 1. Similarly, in discrete domain, we can represent like this: del n is equivalent to 1 for n is equivalent to 0, and we will show with a bubble here. This is del n function, and for other than n is equivalent to 0, it is always 0. So other points it is 0. So this is -1, -2, 1, 2. Other than that, it is always 0. So it exists only at t is equivalent to or n is equivalent to 0. Similarly, we have next function, which is unit ramp function. So unit ramp function is defined as rt is equivalent to t for t greater than equivalent to 0, and for t less than 0, it is 0. So it can be represented as a multiplication of the unit step function, that is t of ut or ut can be represented as differentiation of RT. So d by dt of RT or d by dt of R, which is equivalent to t is equivalent to 1. And similarly, we can represent is in discrete domain that R of n is equivalent to n for n greater than equivalent to 0, and n for n less than 0 it is 0. So it's a kind of a signal. This is ramp signal RT T 0. So 1 1 2 2 3 3 and so on. So now we will cover the system properties. So we have obviously known about the signals. So these signals are input to a system, and we will get some output or response from the system. So we have different properties of the systems also. So with the first figure, you can see that input is applied to the system and we are getting the output yt, or in discrete domain we have xn and output is yn, and the system has a transfer function ht, or it can be represented with the help of notation h. So let h represent the system, xt is given to our system h, and we are getting our output, that is yt. And so there will be a relationship between input and output for a system. So we have to check different properties of the system. There are various properties of the system. The first one is the stability. So if a signal is bounded, the input signal is bounded, so we will get a bounded output. So if it is called as BIBO, so bounded input will give you bounded output, and this is the basic property for the stability, the basic condition for the stability. Or we can have that the integration of the system, that is your impulse response, is always finite. So it will be absolutely integrable. In that case only the system is stable. So next we have memory or memoryless system. So memory systems are those systems which are having some memory, that it depends on the previous values, on the future values, and also on the present values. Memoryless systems are those which depends only at the present values. So here we are having some examples, that yt is equivalent to 5 of xt plus integration over minus infinity to t x tau d tau. Obviously there is integration, there is accumulation of some values of the signal, so these contain some memory. So these type of signals are called as memory systems. Similarly, the second one is the accumulator. Obviously this accumulator is the memory system. Memoryless system like yn is equivalent to xn is equivalent plus x square n. At n is equivalent to 0, it depends upon, we have x of 0 plus x square of 0 is equivalent to y of 0. So at n is equivalent to 0, it depends on the values of the x which is at t n equivalent to 0 or t equivalent to 0. So that's why it depends only on the present values of the input. So it's a kind of a memoryless system. Similarly, we have another category, that is causal and non-causal systems. So these are similar to some memory or memoryless. Causal systems are those systems which depends upon the present and the past values of the input, and non-causal systems are those which are depends upon the present or the future values of the input. So all memoryless systems are causal, but not all causal systems are not necessarily be memoryless. Similarly, we have next category, which is time invariant. So if we invariate time, that is having some shift in the time of the input signal, we must have output signal which is the shifted version, same as the input version. So if xt minus t naught is applied to a system, we are getting yt minus t naught. Similarly, if xn minus n naught is applied to the system, we are getting xn minus n naught. So if these kind of type of systems, we are called as time invariant system or time invariant system. If not so, that system is called as time variant system. So these are all about the signals and the system parts. In the next class, what we are doing, we will just do some examples of these kind of signals, sketching of the signals, transformations of the signals, and then we will discuss about the system properties in depth. So thank you so much. We will meet in the next lecture.